In this video, we'll be continuing with the C# video tutorials. So in this video, we'll be going over, I think, practicing string tokenizing. So there's two things you need to do for this lab if you want to follow along. So you need a file on your desktop or wherever, documents or wherever you want, and it needs to be in CSV format. So what's CSV format? I actually didn't know till I did this lab. But pretty much CSV format is, well, I know what CSV is. It's like an Excel document. But it's not really even an Excel document. It's the way the data is laid out. So if you didn't know, I believe that the Excel document or CSV documents have data in us. They're laid out in a special way so that tokenizing can occur. So you need a file that's going to be like this. So you need to have, let's just start some comments here. So you're going to need to pretend this is our text file. And then here you just need, like, for example, so you enter a value, a comma, and then a space. I think there's a space. You might have to try it without a space, but I tried it with a space first. So then I went across, for example, 5 lines, or 5 columns. The 5th column has no comma. Then I'll enter, and then I'll go 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. No comma on that one. Then I went all the way like this. This would be the last line here. It doesn't really matter what number it is, but that's fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, 5 columns. So the CSV format separates the data with a comma. I believe there is a space or not. Actually, I'm not sure. I can't tell by this text that I'm looking at. It looks like there might be a space, but maybe not. So try it both ways. Second thing you need is to set up a form like this. So I just dragged and dropped it. I drag and dropped it on the form to make it quick. So I have a list box here named average list box. I just set the size. There's no colors and stuff, all that. We could maybe just play with some colors in the lab or something. Okay, so we like when we do the layout lab. So here we have get scores button. So get scores button, you can see the identifier there, or the name property, and then we have the text just changed. And then exit button here, text is set to exit, text is, size was increased. The font size was increased. Okay, so now let's do the code. Okay, so we're going to need using system.io to use like stream reader and stream writer. Now let's access our buttons here, so let's set those up. So let's set up the control, the event handler, so we'll go, what do we call it, get scores button. Dot click plus equals new event handler, passing in get scores button underscore click, and we'll do the exit button here too. So exit button dot click plus equals new event handler. We'll pass in get scores button underscore click. Actually, no, that was wrong. Sorry. Exit button underscore click. Okay, so then now we'll just we'll just define those event handlers here underneath the constructor. So we'll say private void get scores button underscore click, passing in object center. So for some reason object has a lowercase. So object comma no, object sender, then comma, event args e. Okay, so then that red line, the underline of the event handler initialization should have been changed from yellow to, from red to yellow. And then here we'll go, actually underneath that, so we'll go private void, exit button, underscore click. So we go object, yes, object sender will pass in, event args e. That should be all. We could have changed this namespace here to something else. For example, we could have changed this namespace to, I just keep it in order because when I, I messed it up a few times because I had to delete some files to make some space, which is, I'm running out of space because I have like 300 videos to upload. But I just try to do them in order so that I can try to upload them in order. But I've messed that up a few times. I've started it back from 0 a couple times. So what you have to do is that you could just change this to namespace. And then you could call it, for example, CSV underscore reader, whatever. Or whatever, camel cased. Or something like that. Okay, so then now we'll go to the get scores button underscore click. What happened to my notes here? Okay, so go to the get scores button underscore click event handler. We'll have a try block here. Okay, so let me put a catch under here, just so it doesn't have that, excuse me, that red underline. So we'll say message box dot show. Here we'll say exception dot message. Remember, this is a property. Excuse me. Remember in C# that this is a property and not a method, unlike Java. And so in Java, it's like, I believe it's like this, and the m is lowercase, I believe. But in this case, we don't have empty parameters on it, and it's capital. So it's very, very similar to Java. Which is good. It's good to have languages that are pretty much the same, because it helps developers kind of work with one and also work with another. There are some differences in C#. For example, like, you can pass things by reference. You have to use the ref keyword. There's other things, other method names and different things. There's namespaces and stuff like that. Okay, so anyways, we'll just go back to this try block here. So we're going to practice that delim with the array. We don't need to do that, but we'll just do that. So we'll go try. Here we'll create a stream reader object reference. We'll call it input file. We'll go string line. So create some locals here. Int count points to 0. We'll initialize it to 0. And here we'll have int total, then double average. The stream reader input file, string line, int count points to 0, int total, and double average. Then here we'll go with a character array. We'll call it delim, points to an initialization list. Passing in the character, I think it's a comma, because we're separating our file, because remember our file has commas in it. So then here we'll go input file. So input file points to file.openText. Here okay, so here we'll get the path. So go, how to do this again? Okay, so go at path. So I'll do the path through my PC to the file. Can't remember what I called it. I think I called it CSV file camelcase.txt. I'm not sure if that's 100% correct. We'll just try that to start. So I believe you can put it in your IDE folder. There may be some other steps to that, so you can just put it in your IDE folder on the left. I think most books and docs, they teach it like that. Because I guess when you work on projects, you want them in your IDE folder. Not always, though. You may be trying to access a file somewhere else. You may want the path. So I just do the path. Because if you just want to put in your IDE folder, you cut this part out. I don't think you even need the @ symbol. Maybe not. I don't think so. You might need it though. I'm leaning towards you don't. You just take out this. We include the string, the beginning of the string. Just like that. Actually, no. Just like this. You take out this bit like that. So it's just a string literal with csv file.txt with the @ or not. I think there's no @ but you can try it with or without. I think an @ is only to access a path, from what I can remember. Okay, so what do we have now? I'm just going to actually just go to the next line here. Okay, so we have a while loop now to check for the end of stream. So while input file is not the not the input file. So while the input file is not the end of stream. Then we'll say count ++. Then we'll access our string and point it to each line in the file. So we'll say line points to input file dot read line. So here we'll instantiate. So we'll basically declare and initialize. So basically we're going to initialize a string object. So instantiate and initialize a string object in the while loop itself. So we'll go string array tokens points to line dot split. Remember to tokenize a string, or to basically get the, I guess it's, so tokenize a string. It's called, you have to call the split method, which is a different name in Java, I believe. Can't remember actually. Don't use that too much. Use it a few times, but not that much. But here we're going to pass in the delim character array. You don't need to do that. You could just pass in the character that you want to use as the delimiter. So you could just pass in single quotes and the comma, separated by commas, and another delimiter if you need more than one. But here we'll go line dot, then we'll call the split method, which is a string method, I think. Yeah, it's a string array method. Is that what it says? SPLIT. Yeah, it's a string array method, I guess. So I don't think you can just use it on actually, let's see. Actually it should just be a, because it says string array, but line isn't an array. But in this case, maybe you have to have an array pointing to the line.split method. I think that's correct. You have to have an array a string array pointing to the line.split method. That's why the type is string array. That's a little tricky. So you have to declare an array which points to this method, which thus will initialize and instantiate an array with the delimiters put inside the array at each index. So we've gone over those in the notes. If you're interested in that, you can just look through the playlist. It should be near this video before it. Excuse me. So here we have string array tokens points to line.split. We'll pass in delim. Seems to be an, okay, no, there's no error. Okay, one sec here. What else do we have? Okay, so string array tokens points to line.split, passing in delim as a parameter. We'll set the accumulator variable to 0. So we'll say total points to 0. So get the test scores as tokens. So this was the line here. Okay, so far that should all have made sense, hopefully. So then at this part, I know it's a little bit tricky. I've been programming for a few years, so I know at first, like, doing this stuff can be kind of hard. So at this point here, we'll say for each. Then here we'll say string. So if you're confused, once again, you just walk through the debugger. So just set a breakpoint wherever, usually near the top of your method. Then click the debug icon and step through with the buttons step over and step in. Watch out for stepping into built-in methods. It could take you through thousands of lines of code or more. If that happens, then step out and then try to step over that line. Or just try to maybe step out and see if you can get back to what's actually happening with the or with the code you wrote. And then yeah, so don't think we'll do that here. We've done it a few times, but here we'll just see what happens. So here we have for each string. We'll say string str in tokens. So we're going to loop through. What are we looping through? We're looping through the tokens array because we want to loop through that array and get the values, which are really the tokens of the string. The tokens of the string are these numbers here. So this string should have 25 tokens, I guess. So for each string str in tokens, then we'll say, whoops. We'll say total plus equals in dot parse. We'll pass in str. So what's happening here? So we're saying, okay, so we want to loop through the tokens array, so we can just do it with a for each loop. So we're saying for each string str in tokens. So remember, each time in a for each, or for each index in a for each loop, it points to index 0 first. So str is going to point to 1 in this case first. That's index 0. So total is going to point to total, which is set to 0. So total points to 0 plus. Pass the string as an int. So we're going to pass the string 1 as an int. So total points to 1 in this case. Then the loop's going to go back up here, check the condition, make sure it's still in the index, still within the range of the index, or the bounds. So then here we'll say, so it'll say string str in token. So it's going to just add 1 to itself. It won't tell you that it added 1. So now str is going to point to 2. So then in that case, total points to 1, because that's what we had last time, plus 2 pass as an int, so the string, we're going to pass the string as an int, which is we're going to pass 2 as an int, which then will add 1 plus 2. So that's what's going to happen. It's going to add all these values together. That's going to continue till the end of all the data. So then here, me. So I think we're still in the while loop here. So if you notice, we had a for each loop within a while loop, so that can happen. So here we'll have average points to double. So we're gonna take average pointed to cast it double to the total variable, then divide that by tokens.length. To remember, to get the average, you need the number of elements or numbers. Then we'll add everything to the list box. So we'll say average list box dot items dot add. We have a string here, the average for a student. We'll add a space, then concatenate that to count variable, the count variable plus another string with a space is space concatenated to average dot to string, passing in a decimal of, so n1 to space the decimals. Then after the while loop, we'll close the file. Input file.close. Then we caught the exception already. Then for the exit button, we'll just say this.close. Okay, so let me just check that it works here. Okay, so the form popped up on my screen, so once again the form looks like this. The pop-up window won't be caught by the camera, so I'll just tell you guys. So it actually just looks exactly like this. So I'm going to click the Get Scores button. And it tells me, actually, you know what, I'm going to have to change the text. Okay, so hopefully the camera doesn't stop there because I accidentally full screened it. So let's click on this list box. I'm going to click the text, or the font, ellipsis button. Change that back to whatever that is. I'm going to try that, whatever, no, I think that's 24 or 20. So I'll run that engine, we'll just see what happens here. Okay, so it tells us the average for student 1 is 3, the average for student 2 is 6, average for student 3 is 12, the average for student 4 is 17, the average for student 5 is 22. Okay, so what actually this data is. So I believe this is student 1's test scores, this is student 2's test scores, student 3's test scores, and student 4's test scores, and student 5's test scores. So unfortunately they all failed. But that was just me trying to put the numbers quickly, or to do the numbers quickly. Hopefully you actually don't fail, but you shouldn't fail if you do these tutorials, because obviously these tutorials are really good for university programming. Okay, so it's pretty much that's pretty much it. You can run the app yourself. It's nothing special. Just those values. It just tells you that string with the values in the text box, so it's nothing crazy. So that's pretty much it. So in the next video, what are we doing? We're doing structures, I think. So thanks for watching, guys. If you guys liked the video, you can like and subscribe to support the channel for more programming and investing tutorials. In the next one, we'll be doing structures. Hopefully I'll see you guys there. Take care. Thanks.